All right, what we have on the bench today is a differential with a 444 ring and pinion in it. This is the flange. It's very tight, and I can hear the backlash sounds kind of wide, so I'm going to put an indicator on that too and see where that is. And then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to loosen this flange at first and see how it sounds and feels. Check the pattern, make sure they got that correct, and see if all I have to do is go in here and change a crush tube, a distance piece, and then put it back together properly, or if I got to go into this any deeper. Stand by. All right, we are back, and the pattern's not too bad. It's hitting just slightly high. I have backed off the pinion nut on the bench so I could at least feel it, and it seems to turn okay. I can hear a little something in there, not like a little bit of noise, but nothing crazy. This clip is definitely out of sorts. It's not good. I'm going to go ahead and disassemble this thing now. Well, we're going to put an indicator on it. Hold on, let's get an indicator on it and actually measure this backlash. It feels really wide. We're going to find out how wide. Stand by. Adjustment there on the dial, and there you are. It's about 7 thousandths. So that is right at the edge of out of factory parameters, what the factory settings would have been. That's the max is 7 thousandths. So it would be like having a gear that had a tremendous amount of wear on it or something like that. But there you are, 7 thousandths backlash. I'm going to check it in a few other places to make sure it's consistent, but this really should be around 3.5 thousandths. So we're going to definitely tighten that up, and then I'll take another pattern on it and see where it comes in at. This is the stronger part of the gear. Up high, hitting high, you can run into troubles. That's called, up on the heel. You want to be down here, and so you don't have problems. And that's why I said this looked like it was striking a little high. Let me get it taken apart, and I'm going to pull that bearing off the pinion and take a look and see what we got in there for a shim. And I think I'm going to readjust this pinion height. Alrighty, I had just removed these clips that hold the adjusters in place, and I can move this adjuster by hand. There was no load on it whatsoever. That might be another reason why this backlash is so wide, is when they set this thing up, they failed, and that's not good. That's just by hand. There should have been a lot more pressure on that, a load for the a preload for these bearings. But that one won't turn by hand. I just have to break that one loose. But this one, I can turn it right out. And you can see how much that's moving like that now. All right, well, I got the bearing off the pinion here. It's got new bearings in it, and the pinion looks like it's new. So this is definitely a very fresh rear build. This is the shim that was in it, and it is about 8 thousandths more than it needs to be, and it's quite a bit. I'm not sure why they went here, but that's quite a bit of a shim. We're going to go down here to 126 thousandths, and we're going to reset it up with that and see where we get to. With this being in it for even the few miles that was put on it, it may have wore a pattern into this gear already, and I may have to go back to something like this, but this really was not the proper shim for this setup. So let's see what we can do and get it fixed. Perfect. I did go over the ring gear bolts to make sure they were properly torqued, and they are, so we're all good here. Also has new bearings on it as well. And check out this pattern now. That's where we want it. It's down low and across the entire gear, so we got full contact there. Same with this side, really nice full contact. And here's our backlash. Right now I have them set at 3,000s, 3.3,000 consistent around the gear. So I mean, very well set up, good like this now. No more trouble. Hold on, I'm gonna pull this indicator so you guys can listen to it. All right, I have the indicator off now, and I'm gonna go ahead and turn this by hand. So it's really good. I call this differential the fix. There we go. Well, anyway, now I'm gonna go ahead and take this all apart. The bearings looked good. There's no reason to replace them. Everything looked new. So, and luckily nothing was damaged. So I'm gonna go ahead and take it apart. I'm gonna put a new crush tube in it and finish the build and get. All right, we are all cleaned up and ready to go. This was sent in as a stock rear end, except for the 444 gear change. And what had happened was the crush tube that was in here was over crushed and subsequently had to come apart, and the owner wasn't really comfortable taking it all apart, so they sent it in for me to, set up. And that's when we found up, some of these other issues. But anyway, everything's set now. We got a new seal in this. We got a new nut going on, and it's going to get some upgraded bearing cap bolts here, the 10.9 stuff. So a couple little extra goodies to make this just that much better of a finished product. And everything looks really good. Luckily, nothing was damaged. It wasn't ran with the crush tube, distorted or anything. So luckily, they knew enough to stop and before anything was lost, because this is a very expensive gear set. It would have been a shame to, throw caution to the wind and then end up finding out the hard way that they ruined a rear end that's very, very expensive. Okay, we have that heavy duty crush tube in there, and this is our turning torque. It's nice and smooth, right on the money. Perfect. All right, guys, we're all set up now. Have the final torque on the bearing cap bolts, clips into place. And here is our backlash. It's between 3 and 3.5 thousandths all the way around the gear, consistent, really good. Heavy duty crush washer, or crush sleeve I should say, is in place. So we're good here, we're done. Working on the cover now. It's had a really pretty heavy amount of Honda bond on it. It's all over the floor, everywhere. I've actually cleaned up some of it already. And I thought, wow, man, I should actually not do that, because so I can show you guys, this is, excessive, or it was excessive. If you check out the last video I put up, you'll see how much Honda bond to use. So this isn't necessary to get too globby. It was all heavy on the inside here. And if this stuff gets caught up in the mesh of the gears and things, it can cause trouble. You don't want that. Well, anyway, let me get this cleaned up, finished up, get it installed, and do the last segment of this, video. There's our Honda bond seal. Perfect. That's what you want. All right, well, there you have it, guys. It's all buttoned up and ready to go. Backlash sounds nice. Got a nice feel to this load on this bearing. LSD is good. You have minimum lubrication inside here, so once this thing is filled up with gear oil, it's going to be fantastic on that LSD, and everything's going to be right on the money. They changed this flange from AP2 to AP1. This is an AP2 rear end, has an AP1 flange on it, and when they did that, they overcrushed that tube and got themselves in trouble, and called to me and asked me if I could help out, and I said absolutely. And they sent it in here, and I went ahead and took it apart. But when I did, I checked some of the numbers on things like the backlash, and it wasn't right. And I looked at that pattern that led me to look at that, and I seen that wasn't right. And this was kind of a blessing in disguise of making that mistake of over torquing that pinion nut. Because we found these other issues that were inside this rear end, and if they had gotten this correct, it probably would have ended up failing on them anyway because of the way the rear was set up, or it would have definitely been, you know, making noise and stuff because it was just shimmed improperly, and the backlash was really out of sorts, and there was no load on the adjusters. Just not a good setup by that other place that this was originally built by. Everything's good to go now. Everything's great. I want to thank you guys for watching and tuning in and checking out these things that I do here. I know it's somewhat informative, and you know, I'm not real great with some of these videos. You know, I don't have that professional polish to it. I'm here for questions if you have some, and you guys can get a basic idea of how these things are put together by watching some of these videos, and hopefully they're informative and semi-entertaining. Oh, and one more thing. I got, you know, I finished the work on the steering arms. I just wanted to put that in there, you know, on different things I'm playing with the Camaro. And you can look, you can see there's no marks or anything where you would have, you know, seen where, you know, parts were installed, nuts, bolts, things of that nature. You know, when you put these into the car, there would have been some kind of scarring on these steering arms, and there's nothing. So these have never been used. They're definitely NOS, which is like so freaking crazy rare and unbelievable to get that lucky. The Camaro is going to be super happy. I'm definitely happy. Well, thanks for watching, guys, and stay tuned for the next video. See ya.